I will start with your speech and the messages you were giving there. Do you regret comparing the European Union to the Soviet Union?
Well, good morning, Anna. I think if you read the speech properly, you can see that I wasn't saying that the EU is like the Soviet Union. What I was saying is the EU was set up to counter the Soviet Union, but they've got to be very careful that their negotiating approach, if they really think that the only outcome that's acceptable from these talks is to punish Britain from wanting to leave the club, then that's not consistent with European ideals, and we should remember why we were set up, because there were organisations that did take that approach.
But do you think it will be helpful to make that kind of comparison in getting a Brexit deal?
Well, I think that...
Because it's angered some politicians in Europe.
Well, I think they need to understand that we're very angry as well. And if the EU's view is that every time we put constructive proposals on the table, all they have to do is to say no, come back with something different, then that's not a negotiation. And the point I was making in my speech is that the extraordinary success that we've seen in Europe, the peace and prosperity since 1945, has been because there has been a partnership and a friendship between the UK and continental Europe, and we need to make sure that continues. It
wasn't very diplomatic language, though, arguably, and some diplomats have made that point. Is that something that you feel you need to use, that kind of language, to convince a Tory audience?
Well, what I would say is it was a very diplomatic argument, because what I was saying is that our future in Europe, because Britain is not leaving Europe, we're leaving the EU, but our future in Europe will be more secure, more safe and more prosperous if Britain and the EU are friends. And that is a diplomatic argument which I think I put forward with a great deal of passion, and I think it got a lot of response from the hall, because I think that's what Britain wants. People want to leave the EU, but they want to stay friends with EU countries, and they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The thing that's been so extraordinarily successful in keeping the peace over the last 60, 70 years has been that partnership where the UK has helped defend the borders of the EU. We have made it stronger, and let's keep the good things about that relationship.
On another subject, we've been reporting at Bloomberg that the government is going to go to Brussels with a new offer on the Irish border to try and break the gridlock on Brexit talks. I just spoke to the DUP leader, Arlene Foster, though, and she said it's a no-go if this puts any checks over the North Sea. Is the plan that Theresa May is planning to take to Brussels already dead if it doesn't have DUP support?
Well, I haven't seen the plan, and the person who's responsible for the Brexit negotiations directly is Dominic Raab. But all I can say with total certainty is that Theresa May will not agree to a deal which puts a border down the Irish Sea, because no Prime Minister would ever agree to something that would... Well, she would not agree to the UK's border being down the Irish Sea, because that would be to give up sovereignty of part of the United Kingdom.